Hello guys, and welcome to this brand new tutorial series where I'm going to teach you how to make games in Unity 3D. First, you need the game engine. So head over to the official Unity website and download the game engine. So you can download the personal edition, it's free. Okay, so once you have it, open it and we'll start right away. So once you open the game engine, you will be faced with a simple interface in which you have to enter your project name and the location in which the project will be stored. Then you have to check whether it's a 3D or a 2D game. In our case, it's going to be a 3D game. Then you just have to click Create Project. Okay, so the project had loaded up. Now you can look around by right-clicking on your mouse and move the mouse. You can also move around by using the AWSD keys while right-clicking. So now I clicked on the camera, and on the bottom right corner we can see what the camera actually looks at. Okay, so now let's start by creating a 3D object. So on the top left corner you'll see a button that says create. Click on that. Then select 3D object and click on cube. A cube will appear on the scene. On the top right corner you will see a reset button. Click on that and reset its position. Okay, so now under transform scale, change the X value to something like 28. Now on the top you can see that there are many selections. You can select game to see what the game actually looks like. Now create another cube and set its X position back to 1. But as you can see, there is no physics that act upon that cube. To fix that, you have to select the cube, click on Add Component, Physics, and add a rigid body. Now there is some gravity that affects the cube, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so now let's create some folders. The first folder I'm going to create is going to be called Prefabs, and the second folder we're actually going to create, we'll call it Script. After renaming the first cube to ground and the second cube to platform, drag them to the Prefab folder. Now click on the player cube and then click on add component and write player underscore controller. Make sure that under it's C# that is selected. Now drag the script, the C# script, onto the folder script that we created earlier. Now double click on the script and let Visual Studio load up. So this script will be responsible to make our player move right and left. So basically, first thing first, you see that there already are two methods or functions there. The first one is start and the second one is update. Start gets called at the beginning whenever the game starts, and updates gets called every frame. Let's start by making a player speed variable. So there's a difference between making the variable public and private. Whenever you make the variable private, you can only access it within the class itself, the file. But when you make it public, you can access it within the game engine editor. Next, let's make a direction variable, which is going to be a float. Now, on the update method, let's set direction equal to input.getAxis horizontal. Input.getAxis horizontal returns a value between -1 and 1. So if you press D, in which case we want our character to go to the right, it returns a positive value. And if you press A, it returns a negative value between -1 and 0. Next, let's create a function called handle movement. In handle movement, you have to type transform.translate. So you use a method called translate. So it moves the cube, and it takes a vector 3. So type in u vector 3, and in the vector 3 you have to pass in the x, the y, and the z coordinates. So for the x, we want to move it by direction times player speed times time.delta time. For the y, we don't want to move it, so put in a 0, and same for the z. And so you can see that the player moves right and left. There's also another way of doing it. We move time.delta time, and on the start method, let's make player speed equals to player speed divided by 10. This is better so we can have a bit more control over the character. And since we made the variable player speed public, we can change it on the editor and make it so that it goes faster or slower. So that's it for this tutorial. Hope this helped you. And on the next tutorial, we're gonna see how to make the player jump. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.